Welcome to Hashtag Sports.
What happened? Joe, you're not wearing green, Joe. You're not wearing green. It's St. Patty's Day, baby. Yeah. Let me just move this here for a second so, we could just get the full effect of this chaos and mayhem. I got my tuxedo t-shirt on for St. Patty's Day. It is NFL free agency, ladies and gentlemen. I am excited that I have Joe from Believers Talk on. We're going to go outside the hash, inside the numbers. We're going to talk about free agency. We're going to talk about a lot of the new players that are coming to the AFC East, some players that are remaining in the AFC East, and we're going to kind of filter through that and then talk about the NFL as a whole. So it's going to be very, very exciting. Right now, like I said, I got Joe from Believers Talk. If you have not been to his channel, please go to his channel. Give him a sub. He has some great content over there. We are going to be joined a little bit later by Dan Mitchell from the Don Mafia Report. So he'll be joining us a little bit later to talk about the Buffalo Bills as well. We got Paul, Randy, and Stefan in the chat. We're already lighting it up. It's going to be pretty funny. Because they always keep it entertaining. You know that. You've seen that on your channel a bunch of times, Joe. So okay. So before we go over some of the players, I just want to just take a step back a little bit. Matt Milano, Darrell Williams, John Feliciano get signed. Buffalo Bills had to do some maneuvering. They started with $4 million under the cap. Brown was cut. Quentin Jefferson was cut. The Bills ended up doing a bunch of different things to end up getting their own guys in, and then recently signing Emmanuel Sanders to a one-year deal. What's your take on that?
Well, so I actually was on Twitter talking about this a little bit, and I love Darrell Williams, I love Matt Milano, I love Feliciano, I love them all, and I'm really happy that we were able to keep them. But at the same time, especially early on, and it was the same way last year. If you remember, Brandon Beane and the Buffalo Bills didn't do anything all day on free agency until 10 o'clock at night. Then we got Matakovic, and then we got the Stephon Diggs trade, and then everything changed. But
yeah,
like we kept our offensive line the same. So how good was our offensive line last year? Well, protecting Josh Allen pretty good again with the run. And I think Paul alluded to this as well from your channel when we re-signed Darrell Williams and Feliciano. Apparently the coaching staff and the GM don't think that the running game was the fault of the offensive line. No. I think about an old adage when it comes to football teams that, if you stay the same, normally talking about the Super Bowl champ, if you stay the same from year to year, teams are going to pass you because teams are getting better, right? And we see this with New England right now, even though we'll talk more about their contracts later. And so I was worried. I was like, I love all three of these guys. But at the same time, we're staying the same. Our offensive line's going to stay the same. Most of our key players are staying the same. And, we lose John Brown. We bring in Emmanuel Sanders. So, I was not of the mindset of Emmanuel Sanders is better or worse than John Brown, right? And I put this on Twitter. It's not a matter of is Emmanuel Sanders the same or better or even as John Brown. It's the matter of is Gabe Davis equal to John Brown this year? Because I think Gabe Davis takes John Brown's role, and then is Emmanuel Sanders as good as Gabe Davis was as a rookie? So, you look at the wide receiving core. It goes Stephon Diggs, John Brown, Cole Beasley, and Gabe Davis. First, Stephon Diggs, Davis, Beasley, and then Sanders. Plus $2-3 million in there. Which one's better? Which one we prefer? And I like the move for Emmanuel Sanders, especially when you look at some of the other wide receiver contracts, especially in the AFC East. I think it's a great move. But I do still have a little bit of concern of the Buffalo Bills pretty much staying the same here, minus relying on a few draft picks, while other teams, both in our division and around the league, are getting better.
Yeah, if I just taking a quick run through of Emmanuel Sanders' stats. Obviously, the guy's played a while. He's got 662 catches. He has 47 touchdowns. And Paul alluded to on a short that he said a little bit earlier, and what you've alluded to. You think Gabe Davis will secure that second wide receiver role? I mean, he stepped in for John Brown last year, played that role. He plays it. He stretches the field, but differently than John Brown does. He always. Right. He's a go up and get it guy. When Allen puts the ball up in the air, it's either Davis has it or nobody has it. So that's what I like about it. But just to kind of harken back from, I know Sanders is 34, and that's going to be a big deal. It was actually brought up in the chat. You talk about Sanders. He's played with Ben Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, and he just got done playing with Drew Brees, who just recently retired. So you talk about Emmanuel Sanders. This guy has played in a bevy of offensive systems. It's not going to be hard for him to pick it up. And then when you finally look at and you break down what kind of role he's played in those offenses, he's been kind of like, that McKenzie, McKenzie role. So, I mean, signing them for what he did, you kind of figure out what the Bills are looking for as far as going into the draft and going forward with this offense. Now, we made a comment on one of our episodes previously, if you got rid of John Brown, okay, Paul and I were talking about the fall off between Brown to Davis. Davis was a rookie. Brown had played for a while in the NFL. What was going to be that fall off? When the actual discussion that we should have had and that we did have was that what is the fall off between Diggs and Brown? Brown has proven to be number one the 1 year for the Buffalo Bills, and he played very well. So then when you think about that drop off, now let's just say this. Paul even said it to me when we were talking on the way back, when I was on my way home. He said, listen, the drop off you have, it's you could stay afloat. Let me just try to word this correctly. You could stay afloat if you have Sanders, Davis, and Beasley on the field at once. If Diggs has to come off, could you still manage to move the ball and be productive? I think you can. I really think that you can if you have those three pieces. Obviously, you add Diggs into the mix. But I want to ask you this. What does this say about Dawson Knox? I mean, you go out and you get a fourth wideout for your – I mean, is this that they're wanting to run a lot more four wide in that respect? Where and hold on one second on that thought.
I know what's going on. So you guys, I'll answer that while you take care of that. So for Dawson Knox, I don't know if this changes much for Dawson Knox yet. What I think could happen, and I think a lot of Bills fans are excited for one name in particular, who we'll talk about probably in a little bit, but with the trade for Lee Smith for a seventh round draft pick to Atlanta, thanks Atlanta. There's more moves in the mix here, and some of us are thinking another pass catching tight end. So you talk about, can the Buffalo Bills stay afloat if something would happen to Stephon Diggs, and you have Davis, Beasley, and then Emmanuel Sanders. Well, imagine adding a legitimate pass-catching tight end to those four, a guy who can stretch the field like a Zac Ertz, who we're going to talk about, obviously, in a little bit as Dan Mitchell joins us. Hey, Dan, good to see you.
Yeah, I'm just getting in here, Dan. Hold on, buddy.
Going on, Jen?
Not much. But I think Dawson Knox's role. Listen, I don't think Dawson Knox is smart enough to be able to change his role too much and for him to grasp the concept. To be honest with you, I think, and I say that half tongue to cheek, but at the same time, you're still talking about a young tight end who you really want to keep things as familiar as possible for him. You talk about Emmanuel Sanders being part of many different systems. Dawson Knox, this is still his first system. The guy coming from Ole Miss who wasn't much involved in the offense at all, right? I mean, you look at the wide receiving class from Ole Miss when he was there. It's insane. You have Brown, you have Metcalf. Who wasn't really part of the mix. So I think that you still have to give Dawson Knox that time to shine.
Yeah, Dan, welcome to the stream, my friend. We are just talking about Yeah, that's right. Happy St. Patty's Day, but this is a big day for you.
Huge day for me. In fact, I was trying to consider whether or not that I should go out for a beer after this or if I should go to the gym. So, I mean, I'm kind of in a debacle.
Well, I'm going to show you right now, Dan. You can see it on your screen.
You would definitely choose the beer.
I want to be formal, but I'm also here to party. That's basically what I'm doing on here. So those of you just joining the stream, #Nation, obviously you know who this man is, Dan Mitchell from the Don Mafia Report. He's coming in and joining us here. We were just talking about the signings, mainly the Sanders signing and how this probably impacts. I mean, Dawson Knox's role is not going to be changed at all. I mean, he was used limited multiple times in this offense, maybe 3 to 4 targets a game. That's all you get. And, with the drops, everyone likes to harp around the drops. I don't know if it was so many drops that he had. I think at the times that he had his drops were very concerning for a lot of Buffalo Bills fans in that respect. So initial thoughts. I want to get your initial thoughts, Dan, on the Emmanuel Sanders signing for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. So, I mean, say, for example, that you were to tell me prior to Monday or Tuesday that if the Buffalo Bills were to make a free agent move whatsoever, that it would be for a wide receiver, then I would have called you insane. I did not see us. Like, I would say a wide receiver was the last position group that we were going to pick up in free agency. I was thinking the next wide receiver addition we were going to bring on this team would have been in the later rounds of the NFL draft.
Yeah.
Now, it makes sense, I guess, right? Especially since we parted ways with John Brown. It made sense. But, I mean, I thought going into it that the Bills were releasing John Brown was essentially a sign that they were just getting a bunch of confidence in Gabe Davis and how he performed toward the end of that past season. But, I mean, with Emmanuel Sanders, I mean, this is definitely a super cool pick. So to be honest with you, I actually really wanted him on the Bills last year. I really wanted him on the Bills last year before the whole trade with Stephon Diggs ended up happening.
Yeah.
You see so many people on Twitter talking about this, and this is a very common take, but it's a very true take. We arguably have top 10 best route runners on our team. 3 of the top 10 best route runners on our team going into 2021 between Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, and Sanders. So, I mean, it's going to be a heyday for a lot of defensive coordinators going into it. I like the pick. You guys probably know that I've been beating the table for Chris Carson for the past 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, I would have much rather see his name. I just saw Joe's face like get super sour when I said that name.
Oh.
But, yeah. But I mean, was cool, man. Was cool, and I'm definitely liking the fact that the Bills are really going on ahead and sort of diving in on their strengths.
Yeah, I mean, it's to me the more. I mean, okay, you could make the argument that with Sanders, that is the guy that's going to supplement what Roberts and McKenzie brought to the offense. You can, because if you looked at, like I said earlier, if you looked at the type of player that he was coming in here, I mean, I loved it from the standpoint of this guy's played with Roethlisberger, Manning, and Breeze. I mean, you don't think he's going to try to help Josh Allen in his development and what's going on with Josh Allen for that 1 year that he's going to be here? I love it for that aspect. The other thing that I love, retaining guys brings about that continuity. You know what I mean? You talk about Williams, you talk about Milano, you talk about Feliciano. Like, they're trying to get guys back in to have that cohesiveness as a unit that helped them to 13 wins this year. Every time I say that, I still get, I'm like, the Bills won 13 games this year. Am I really, is that really happen? The Bills made the AFC championship game? Like, what'd you say, Dan?
And so I said, it's still hard to believe, right?
Oh,
I mean, hearing that.
I can't tell. But it's amazing. Go ahead, Joe.
And you even see that on Bill's Twitter, Bill's Facebook, Bill's Mafia. Like, we're not used to being the hunted, right? I mean, right now we are the hunted team. And you see the Patriots and the Jets and the Dolphins making these moves. Well, the Dolphins not so much, but I think they will. Because we are the hunted, and I think Bills fans, it's catching them by surprise. We see New England making all these moves. Like, oh wait, they're going to catch us. They're going to get like. No, we're still the best team in this division, guys. Like, period.
I think the Patriots got their stimulus check early. I mean, I think that's really what happened. I've been seeing those memes all over the internet. It's freaking hysterical. But you look at it. I mean, let's just go through. I'm gonna go through today. I'm gonna go through yesterday, and the legal tampering period, as you know, was the 15th and the 16th, which still cracks me up. We did an episode on it. It's like the legal tampering period. Okay, this one you could sign guys that were going to be impending free agents today at 4 p.m. What is going to happen? So if I'm just going through the AFC East, obviously the Dolphins today, they signed cornerback Justin Coleman, a 1 year, 2.75. They signed Adam Butler to a 2-year deal. Defensive tackle. The Jets re-signed Josh Adams, running back. Okay, those really don't move the needle very much. So if we go down a little bit more, Dolphins get a linebacker. They get Jacoby Brissett for a year, and then they get running back Malcolm Brown. Okay, so what of those guys? And then the Jets yesterday, they got cornerback Justin Hardy to a 3-year deal. And then the Patriots signed Hunter Henry, 3 years, $37.5 million. That was the legal tampering period yesterday that they announced. Of those names that I mentioned, I'm going to start with Joe and then go to Dan. Which one of those guys, of those names, moves the needle for you? Any of those guys move the needle for you?
I mean,
all teams.
All the names have to move the needle a little bit, but if you give me those names, Hunter Henry, like to me, none of them move the needle where I'm scared or anything like that, or that I think that they really actually. I mean, come on, New England has what, 7 tight ends now? I mean, it's insane. They got 2 tight ends last year in the draft. They pick up 2 tight ends this year, but Hunter Henry just doesn't. I remember when Hunter Henry was supposed to be like the next big thing behind Antonio Gates. And then the Chargers bring back a 38-year-old overweight Antonio Gates ahead of Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry has a hard time staying on the field because of his health. And again, I'm not trying to say Hunter Henry is a bad player. I think he's a good player. But when you talk about 12.5 mil per year, to me, that's just not what he's worth. But you're looking at a year like this. Listen, as a Bills fan, I'm very happy that this is the year that the other opponents in the AFC East have a lot of money to spend, because it's going to take a lot of extra money to sign these players to longer term deals. Because these players went out short term because they know in 2-3 years the salary cap is going to come back, and it's going to rise. So when you're talking about Judon getting 13.625 mil a season, and you're talking about, you have Nelson Aguilar making 11 mil a season. Go ahead, waste your money. Thank you very much.
That's crazy to me.
That's insane. Nelson Aguilar, who, by the way, the Eagles, who had no wide receivers, me, Dan, and Mario could have tried out for the wide receiving core and been just as good. So, I mean, Hunter Henry has to be the one that moves the needle the most, but they haven't made a single move that has made me say, they're coming. Like, the Bills are still going to go at least 4-2 in the division, unless Watson comes over, and then we'll be all right.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, what do you got, bud?
I'm going to have to agree with Joe at this point. First off, I did want to make a slight comment that I was expecting the Dolphins to go out there and be a bit more aggressive and try to make moves like the Patriots were making, going out there and getting some of those big splash names, et cetera, right? But, I mean, then they go around and they sign Jacoby Brissett, right? I mean, I thought that they would at least go ahead and try and make a move for, some of the big names that are still circulating around there as far as the quarterback carousel is concerned. But, I mean, as far as a name, I suppose that would move the needle for me, I'm going to have to agree with Joe. I mean, I guess Hunter Henry. I mean, I feel like everyone's just hyping the Patriots up so much because not only did they sign him, they signed Jonnu Smith as well, right?
Yes.
They had pretty big, defensive pieces. They're having a couple of defensive pieces from last year coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if there's any concern of the Patriots for me right now, it's going to be their defense, not their offense. I mean, yeah, great. Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, fantastic. But your number one receiver is Nelson Aguilar, and your quarterback is Cam Newton. I'm not worried about that. I really don't foresee a tight end duo of those two really being able to guide them into, like a 14-3 record and winning the AFC East. They still need to, find a bit more continuity there. But it's been interesting. As far as moving the needle the most, I would probably have to say Hunter Henry. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, say that there's any cause for concern with the Pats, I would probably have to say it would be their defense with not only the additions they've made this offseason, but who's coming back next year too.
And Mario, I hope you don't mind me interrupting real quick. But it seems like the Patriots are trying to go back to old school. Bill Belichick's trying to go back to what he remembers, right? 2 tight end sets, big guys. Think about Aaron Hernandez and Gronk days, right? He's trying to go back to that. But he doesn't have Tom Brady anymore. He has Cam Newton. And if you look at Cam Newton's accuracy percentage to tight end, listen, I know the Patriots did not have great tight ends last year. I get that. But that doesn't matter. You have to be accurate with the football. You could have Tony Gonzalez and Antonio Gates as your tight ends. If you don't accurately throw on the ball, they're not catching it. You have to throw accurately. And if you look last year at Cam Newton's accuracy percentage to tight ends, it's not great. It's not great. So that's why I'm really not worried about these tight ends.
Yeah, but the construct of the offense, I could see that. I think the Patriots are trying to recapture some of the things that they used to do when Tom Brady was in town. Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the things that they're trying to do. They're trying to recapture, when they had a 2 tight end set. And that's fine. I mean, that's one of the things you could do to try to help a quarterback that has, it struggled a little bit last year. So, you got Nelson Aguilar to try to push the field, and you have these tight ends that go underneath. N'Keal Harry, I don't know what the deal is with N'Keal Harry. I don't know if they're looking to trade him, looking to get out of that contract. But Jonnu Smith, I think, will be a bigger problem than Hunter Henry. But if you put both of them together, those are things that are in the division right now that are going to be a problem for a lot of teams within the division. I think Buffalo's going to have to contend with that. It is they're going to have some very tough sledding with those. Does that, are they trying to open up their running game by having that? Because I think Smith and Henry seem like throwback to a degree. They seem like throwbacks to me. So if everyone's building their defense in the AFC to defend the pass, which I think we can all agree the Buffalo Bills defense is built to defend the pass, not the run. And a lot of teams are doing that because who has been in the AFC Championship game the past 3 years? The Kansas City Chiefs. You know what I mean? I don't know who they're going to have as linemen there, going forward. But you look at that contract, you look at how it's starting to break down. What is going to happen moving forward with that? Well, if you're a team that's going to try to pound the ball and run, that's your defense is not built for that. And by running the ball, you're going to keep a lot of these high-powered offenses off of the field. So maybe that's something that they want to do is just nickel and dime you in three yards in a cloud of dust. So that is the type of offense that really Belichick is used to building his defense for. I mean, Judon is probably the guy that I know I didn't mention him. I didn't get down there yet. But you look at Judon coming in, that is a guy that really moves the needle for me because that guy is scary.
I was looking at Carl Lawson for the Jets. That would be the guy.
Carl Lawson, Matt Judon. But I'm going to start with Dan on this one, then I'll kick it to Joe. What is it? And Paul brought this up to me. I thought it was a great point. What is the reluctance of the Buffalo Bills to get that prototypical 15-sack edge rusher? Why are they so opposed to doing that? Now, this will move the needle for a lot of people because that's what people have wanted for years after Williams left. And, you got Hughes over on the other side. He's more of an edge setter. He had some trouble a little bit last year doing that. But what is with the propensity of them not to get a 15-sack guy on that side?
I don't even think that it's them choosing not to. I think that they've tried, right? And so, I think that we've tried several times. Especially with the whole J.J. Watt situation. He's definitely not a 15-sack guy. Maybe back in his absolute prime. But, I think we've definitely went out there and we've made moves to attempt to pick up that guy. And whether or not that we're trying to gamble about it right within the draft, I just think that, like you were saying, our defense is built to, stop the pass, just have a strong secondary. We all know that pressure on a quarterback helps the secondary out in the long term. But I think what this team is doing is they are just trying to continue to build what we are already good at. And then, I don't know, maybe hope for the best going into 2021. Maybe they're hoping that with Epinessa's second year that he's finally going to be able to start making some moves, take a huge step. Same with Ed Oliver. Maybe we're just focusing on our younger guys and hoping that with just a few more years of continuity that we'll be able to make that next step. Don't get me wrong. This year particularly, I think a lot of it had to do with money. I think that's the biggest excuse. After everything that we have spent so far, what do we have left right now? Like $2 million, I think. I think with the most recent signing with Emmanuel, I think our cap room is sitting at around $2 million. So we had to pick and choose. And I think our front office just found our offensive line, Matt Milano, and so to be the number one priorities rather than going after an edge rusher. And so I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts on this too, because I have,
So I look at, to me, I'm surprised that this is a shock to Bills Mafia. Look at Leslie Frazier's past, right? So you talk about him as the defensive coordinator / head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. And, I look at the 2017 Vikings roster, and the best defensive end is Everson Griffin, who is a really good defensive end. But at that time, he was not a double-digit sack type guy. I believe that Leslie Frazier and Coach McDermott believe that if you tie up the defensive tackle positions, which they probably believe that they are this year with the addition of Star Latuile, because let's not forget we're getting him back. Yep. And Mario, I know you'll talk at length about getting him back and what that means. Just look at Jordan Phillips. In 2019, Jordan Phillips had 9.5 sacks. 9.5 sacks. Jordan Phillips is not a 9.5 sack per year type guy without a stud defensive tackle next to him taking on that double team. So what does that mean for Ed Oliver? And what does that mean, as Dan brought up, for the addition of his second year, Epineza? And who's going to say we're not going after defensive ends in the draft? I think it's more likely that we accidentally, and I don't even remember how many sacks Jerry Hughes had in 2018, but they're up there too. But it's more likely if we get double-digit sack defensive end, it's by accident, right? It's like we have a really solid defensive end, like a Jerry Hughes, like an Epineza, and he just fell into a few sacks, and that's fine and that's good. But I truly believe that Leslie Frazier's scheme, system in the past, throughout his body of work, has been attack with the defensive tackles, force them to get double teams, and then you'll have 4 or 5 guys getting 7 to 10 sacks, and not necessarily having one guy with 15.
Yeah, that's one of the things that Paul and I talked about when I was, on my way trying to fly home to get this bad boy started. And for those of you that are coming over, I don't know why it sent out 2 streams, but we're definitely not doing 2 streams. I had 2 chats going on. I'm like, what's going on? I was like, everyone's getting all upset and be like, hey, when is this thing going to start? I'm busy. I'm like, we're started 20 minutes ago. What are you talking about? So the wonders of technical difficulties here at Hashtag. But here's the thing. I told him, I said, listen, it's much easier to game plan against a guy who's a 15 sack guy and the other guys you don't really have to worry about than all these guys, 4 solid guys that just push the pocket, generate pressure. Why do you think you extend a Poyer? Why do you think you extend a Hyde? Why do you think that you extended Trey White? That's the guys you want to make plays. You sign Matt Milano 4 for 44. You have Tremaine Edmonds. You're going to have to try to make a deal about him very, very soon. So all of that stuff combined, that's what kind of leans me away from Frazier, because I know Frazier wants to bring pressure. He wants to have that edge guy, but this looks more like McDermott's style of a defense where you have 4 guys that can eat up 5. That is the goal of a McDermott defense. I want 4 guys. I want 2 guys to set the edge so they can't run outside. Let all the linebackers clean up everything. So you have a little bit of difference of philosophies, not much, but you have a little difference of philosophies between Frazier and McDermott in that respect. So, and the thing was, though, you look at, let's just give you an example. Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly. You talk about Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly, who Sean McDermott had in Carolina. Now you bring it up here. You got Matt Milano and Tremaine Edmonds. Those 4 linebackers couldn't be any different in the system, in the scheme, in the system that they want. So it seems like McDermott himself, with Frazier's help, or Frazier with McDermott's help, have evolved the linebacker position, which is why we probably saw A.J. Klein struggle a little bit at the beginning of the year last year. So what was happening was there was this new type of defense that was going on, and Klein enjoyed some success in Carolina as a linebacker. He comes up here, it's not the same. It's more of a pass. The NFL is okay, we're going to air it out now. So we have to try to adjust that, which is probably why he had trouble adjusting to that coming into the season. So that being said, I think he needs to adjust the defensive end now. I think you need a rush guy. You need an edge rusher that could just totally blow up a play when you need to. I think that was the problem last year, was they didn't have that guy to okay, we need somebody to step up and make a really huge play. And did they have huge plays throughout the year? Yeah, but they were all generated by their secondary. Those were the huge plays. So I think that just tailors more to what a McDermott philosophy rather than a Frazier philosophy.
Let me ask you this then.
Go ahead, Dan.
And so let me ask you this. Would you have traded re-signing Matt Milano and Darrell Williams for an elite edge rusher that was a free agent this year?
No, because I think Williams and Milano for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, I don't think you're getting the edge rusher for the money you paid them. It'd be one guy does not fix this team, which is why they're doing these little things that develop continuity. Milano does so many different things for you. He's very versatile, especially since we kind of take ourselves out of that role and say this, Dan. Frazier might not be here next year. I mean, he's a guy who got head coaching considerations. Dable got head coaching considerations. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to set up your team. Milano's very versatile. Williams is very versatile. So whatever offense or defense you would want to run, both of these guys fit that. So you're not just getting a one-dimensional player for a one-dimensional offense. So in that respect, I think they made the right decision, because if they went out and got a big shiny new toy, if they signed Judon, okay, but then Milano and Williams go, you're like, how are we going to protect the franchise, and how are we going to cover any tight ends that came into the division?
Right.
So that's what Milano and Williams do for you, I think. But that doesn't take it off the table at 30. Does that take it off the table at 30?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
All right, let me pose a question to both you and Joe, since we're getting into this, and we're going to go through some more free agency as well. Hashtag Nation, thank you for joining us today for this impromptu free agency special. All right, I'm going to start with Joe, and then I'm going to go to Dan. Number 30. The Bills weren't able to trade that pick. I think they're trading it, but nevertheless, for this exercise, they're keeping number 30. Are you getting an edge rusher at 30? Are you getting a CB2 at 30? Hashtag Nation, you answer this too. You get an edge rusher, a CB2, or some other position at 30. What are your thoughts, Joe?
Well, my thoughts are what's on the board at that time. I mean, you can't just ask me that question.
Well, in a vacuum, Joe.
I think you hit the nail on the head as far as I think that we're trading out of that pick. I don't think that we're going to keep that pick. But it's someone like does just Horn fall down the board? Because then if he falls down the board, obviously I think he'd go with Horn or someone like that. I think hit the nail on the head with the edge rusher position, though. The only problem is we spent our first draft pick last year picking up edge rush, right? So why would we do that back-to-back years? Even though it was a second-round pick instead of first round, would you do that back-to-back years? So I think cornerback 2 would be more valuable at that time. But again, it all depends who's on the board. But I'm with you and Paul when you did your draft special. When you talked about it, I don't know if they're trading up or back. To be honest, I think they're trading back just because I don't see any draft capital to trade up. But at the same time, I think they're not keeping that 30 pick. But, I think they probably go cornerback 2. I see a mock draft here where we pick up Greg Newsome. That would be a good addition. So yeah, that's what I see.
I got MP coming in the chat. Trade it for Kyle Fuller. We got running back at 30. CB2 from Caleb.
We stop with running back at 30, please. It's
Joe,
annoying.
Joe, listen, we are going to get in a huge argument right now. This is how it works. You're telling me that if Najee Harris or Travis Etienne were not available at 30, you would not take them?
Okay.
You would not take if they were available. You would not.
Why would I take someone who I don't even want to pick up my 5th-year option on? Like, it's not just about next season. We had 2. Like, by his 5th-year option, he's 27.
So here's the deal. So here's my theory when it comes down to it, right? If the offensive line was the issue, because this is typically the argument. Being like, listen, dude, the running back's not the issue. It's clearly our offensive line. We wouldn't have brought back the exact same offensive line this year. It's clearly a running back issue. It is not an offensive line issue, and that's what our front office believes.
Do they believe that, or do they put more onus on passing the ball than running the ball? We passed the ball 65% of the time. We did great in pass protection. So why wouldn't we keep the same unit that protected Josh Allen more than try to mix it up and possibly wreck Josh Allen?
We do, but they realize that us to get over that hump and get over that hill, we need to establish at least an average running game. Would you say right now that Ezekiel Elliott coming out of college was a better running back or worse running back than Harris? Ezekiel Elliott. I mean,
better or worse? Because I would say better. I would say Ezekiel Elliott was better. He was drafted high. So.
Yeah, I agree with
that. Okay. So when Ezekiel Elliott had a top 5 offensive line, he averaged 6 yards a carry. That's awesome. That's wonderful. Good for you. Look what he's done the past 2 years with a banged up offensive line. Last year, he had more fumbles last year than his whole career combined before that. So it's all about the offensive line. A good running back will get you 2 to 3 yards every single down. A good offensive line will get you 5 to 6 rushing yards. And that's just how I feel. But so I like Najee Harris. So if they pick him up.
What's your solution for running back, just out of curiosity? What would you like to see? Because I don't think Singletary or Moss is it.
Again, this is a hill I'm dying on, and it's probably one that I'll be dying soon. They both averaged over 4 yards a carry last year. They had a terrible year, according to everyone in Bills Mafia. Terrible season, and they averaged more than 4 yards a carry last year, both of them. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 gets you a first down. I don't like this narrative that we need a running back that's going to break off 50-yard runs. When was Josh Allen greatest last year? On play action. So the defense still respected our run game, right? It's not like after week 13, they're like, you know what, this team's not running. We knew in the playoffs they weren't going to run the ball, and yet we still passed the ball all day over play action because they were scared of the running game. And why was that? I don't know, but they still fell for it. The defenses still fell for it. So why do we have to pick up a running back on day 3? Like, why do we have to waste draft capital on a running back? We just don't. If you want to pick up Carlos Hyde, who's now a Jacksonville Jaguar, pick him up. But there's no need to say, look, rookie season, Devin Singletary was 5.6 yards. Last season at this time, everyone's like, oh, Devin Singletary is going to be amazing. Yay. 1 year later, we just want to throw in the towel and say, forget about it. If we get rid of Devin Singletary, Bill Mafia will be looking at him like they look at Robert Woods now and like they look at Logan Thomas now. Oh, why didn't we keep him for that a little bit longer to see what he can do?
Yeah.
I love this.
I mean, here's my thing. I love hearing let's just pick up somebody in round 3. I mean, I feel like we've done that for the past 15 plus years. I mean, when has that worked out? Right. So, I mean, here's my deal. Like I said, Joe, so believe it or not, I'm on the exact same page as you. I believe we're trading down first off. Najee Harris and Travis Etienne, in my opinion, won't even be available by the time that 30 is there. Mm-hmm. I'm not picking a running back besides those 2 names if they are at 30, which I don't even believe that they will be at 30. I'm going to have to go CB2.
Yeah. I
would say. I really, really like this guy from Syracuse. I forget his last name. I don't want to butcher his name, actually. But I really, really, really like him as an option. And it is very likely that he would still be available, say that we did trade down a couple of spots into the second once it came down to it. But Mario, listen, that was heated. And I mean, I got to hear your shit.
I got to go to the chat. First, Apex, thank you for the donation. He said scheme was the issue. And then Pierre Martinez comes in with his donation. He says if we can get Jock, Bills could play base, dime, nickel and dime at the same time. Okay, so a lot of people are talking about the defense. Why pick a running back at 30? Everyone talks about interior O-line help. Najee's a beast. There's a bunch of different varying discussions going on about what's going on. Now, listen, I would love if they stay at 30 to put a corner, a number 1 corner, as Joe. But Joe made a great point. He says, who's on the board? That's the key. That's going to be the key. I know I gave the question out in a vacuum. I said, okay, where would you like them to go? All this other stuff. I don't think it's the running back. I don't think the running back was any, because what everyone sees when they see Moss and Singletary is that guy with that last gear that can go. I saw even that year that he had this first year when he had the good yards per carry, Joe, he had runs that other running backs would have been gone and would have scored. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, he gets caught from behind. He does this, that, and the third. I understand that. Moss, the same thing. I don't think they get rid of Singletary or Moss for this simple reason. If you bring in a new OC that does not run the EP system, they're going to be better suited for that system. They're both volume runners. They could bang it inside, and they can get you 4 yards of carry like you need, like you said they averaged. Okay, that's 1. 2, I would love to put a CB2 across from Trey. That is a legit CB2. That could be a CB1 on some teams. You look at what the Dolphins are doing. You look at what the Patriots have done with their cornerback position. That is the scope. That's what I would love. Now, if you don't do that, what are some other things you can do? I've seen on the chat interior O-lineman. You can get that's always great. I don't see Ford here very long, ladies and gentlemen. I don't. No. To me, I made a bold prediction that he's getting traded on draft day for a pick. If you're able to deal Lee Smith for a 7th rounder, what value does Cody Ford have? 2 years still left on his deal. You can still get something out of the guy. He's a former Bama lineman, do have some value. I'm not going to say it. And Chuck Christopher Cousins says Dane Jackson is our CB2. Book it. You and Paul have been hanging out way too much. You just need to get that Kool-Aid is very tasty, isn't it?
7th rounder, love him. Hey, I mean, you never know, right?
Yeah, we got Williams is the best running back in the draft. Robert Foster to the Dolphins. Did that just happen? Robert Foster to the Dolphins? That's interesting.
No, I thought Foster re-signed, but I could be wrong.
That's Pierre Martinez comes into chat. Apex. Williams screams Chubb.
I need to bring up one point real quick. 133 y'all watching, only 40 likes. Hit that thumbs up button. Get drunk on St. Patrick's Day. Maybe you're missing the button because you're drunk. I don't know, but hit that like button.
Yeah, and for those of you that are coming over from the other chat, listen, the moves that they have made, okay, they solidified their line. They obviously, well, I know, we can't really say obviously, but for the majority of us, we're sitting there going, okay, they don't think that their offensive line was the problem. Apex brought up a great point, said scheme was the problem. Okay, if scheme's the problem, you have to adjust. That you can adjust. If you have the horses, you can adjust the scheme and everything that would work. You have Singletary and Moss, which kind of throws a little curveball at you, Joe, because you said, why would they take an edge rusher when they just took an edge rusher the previous year? They took 2 wide receivers in one draft at one time. Right. They had McCoy, they signed Yeldon, and then they drafted Singletary, we remember, and then they drafted the next year Moss. So it wouldn't be against them to do such a thing like that as to take an edge rusher at 30. Wherever they go, to me, like you guys were mentioning, players that leave Buffalo, we're kind of snake bit in that respect to say, okay, listen, they left Buffalo and they enjoyed success at another team. Why couldn't they enjoy success here? Well, a lot of people say that's scheme. That is 100% scheme in the development of the player. I think, that's me. You can argue with me till I'm blue in the face, but that's scheme. So that respect, we got to get over that kind of being snake bit from players that leave that end up enjoying success at another team. I just think that wherever they go, I'm going to trust the process in that. So wherever they go with that, if it's an edge rusher, if it's an interior O-line, if it's a cornerback too, even if they go linebacker, I'm going to have to trust it. I'm really going to have to trust it. But we're going to have questions about that, Joe. We're going to have a lot of questions.
Can we all agree, though, if they pull a Packers and go quarterback, we'll all be a little confused, right? Right? We'll all be a little.
I think, yes. I think number one, I think that's the one spot they're not going. But I wouldn't put it. I'm not going to say that a quarterback will not be taken with the 30th pick. I can't say that because, as you guys know, a lot of guys like trading back in for that 5th-year option. So, and as the rules have been different, we even mentioned this too, and just give you guys a little bit of a breakdown. And you guys already know this, but I just want to put this on the nation. Before, what it was is there was a certain amount for if you were a top 10 pick, and then there was a certain amount if you were 11 through 32. That has changed in the new CBA. Now you have to play 70% of your first of your team snaps, and if you make a Pro Bowl, that ups your value. That's why Darnold and Baker Mayfield, their 5th-year option wasn't as much as Jackson and Allen's. That's why everyone was wondering, what the heck's going on? But that's why. So it gives the clubs a little bit more room to judge their players rather than, if you got a steal at 30, you don't have to pay him a 5th-year option. He starts fighting with you on it and says, well, I'm worth way more than that. So Philip Gong comes in. What would you think if we got CMC in a trade? CMC. Philip, I'm going to say this once. I love St. Patty's Day too. The green beers are phenomenal.
Lay off the sauce.
No. I don't think you have enough capital to do that, either by picks or players. I don't know anyone short of Diggs or Allen you're giving up for CMC.
And how are we paying him?
Like how are you gonna? His contract is stupid.
Hey, listen. I love Bills Mafia, love Bills fans, but a lot of them think that this is Madden with the salary cap turned up.
Yeah, they do. I actually tweeted out. Let's not forget that there are some fans who only watch this between September and February. They don't even understand what a salary cap is. So try to be patient.
No, it is. And Paul was the one
funny.
that
I was making funny. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh no, actually, Paul was the one that actually introduced me to the cap. I didn't know about that. I'm like, yo, why are they cutting this guy for this? He's like, he can't afford it. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is like years ago. But the cap does make a lot of decisions for a lot of teams in that respect, and they have to try to, obviously, construct certain things. I don't know what the Saints are doing with Mickey Loomis down there. I don't know if he doesn't own a calculator. But that being said, in that respect, it does drive a lot of decisions because this is a business. We have to remember that. We're fans of this team. We're fans of this sport. However, this is a business. They're going to run the business how they feel. Their employees have to earn. You get paid for what you're going to do, not what you did. That's the craziest part about it. So with a lot of these contracts, a lot of people will sit there and go, okay, why are they paying this guy not this much? Why was he offered this such a little salary? Well, how much does the guy have left in the tank? Did you think John Brown was a $9 million, $8 million receiver next year? No, he wasn't. He wasn't going to do that. So that being said, the maturation of Davis and the introduction of Diggs rode his ticket out of town, really. So in that respect, I mean, I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but read my super chat above. All right, Apex, he says, coaching is too stubborn to give up on our running backs. Let me start with Dan, and I'll go to Joe on that. What do you guys think about the Buffalo Bills' propensity and the coaching staff to believe they can coach up anybody? Because they've stuck with guys a lot longer than sometimes other teams would have cut bait.
What was the initial comment again?
It said that the coaching is too stubborn to give up on our running backs. But I could say, I'll give you an example. For me, I have not seen the returns on Cody Ford, and they keep plugging him in.
Right.
He's tried 3 different positions. They keep doing it.
Yeah.
So, on the running back position itself, what do you think?
Well, I mean, first off, I think that propensity is a blessing and a curse. I mean, blessing number one, I mean, I'm glad that they didn't kick Josh Allen to the curb after his first year. You know what I mean? Let's go ahead and do that. Being somewhat reasonable in the fact that you need to be able to see, especially rookies, right? Say that this was a veteran that was absolutely going out there and he's clearly losing his step. He's going out there playing like trash for sure. I guarantee you that our coaching staff would, move on that following year. It's just how it is. I think a lot of college players just don't adjust, and particular position groups don't adjust as fast as others do going into the NFL. Now, I would make an argument that one of the position groups that adapts the quickest would be running back, in my opinion. And the fact that they're still rolling with Singletary and Zach Moss is because I don't know. Maybe really going back to what Joe said earlier, we're a pass first team and running back really isn't that big of a necessity for us, and they're there, and we want to see if there's something that they can put up on year 2 and year 3 respectively moving forward. But would probably have to say that it has to do with the fact that they're just trying to remain patient with younger players, rookies that get drafted into the squad because they don't want to feel like that they wasted a draft pick. But yeah, that's my answer there.
Yeah, and I saw someone in the chat you mentioned it in the chat too, brought up Zay Jones, right? Like Zay Jones was McDermott's second draft pick overall. So, they gave up on him, but I loved Zay Jones when we drafted him. I thought he would be a really good slot receiver. I think the Bills did him wrong, actually. But we have, Zay Jones isn't a good example of where they saw someone not living up to their potential and got rid of them. But I think what we've seen in free agency this year is that the Buffalo Bills coaching staff and their front office believe in continuity. They believe that continuity matters. And I think that goes throughout all the position groups. And listen, what coach doesn't want to say, I brought in this guy, he was raw. We've all seen Blindside, right? I brought in this guy, he was a raw talent, and I was able to coach him up into a superstar. You'd rather say that than say, oh, he wasn't living up to stuff, I got rid of him, and now he's a superstar somewhere else. So it's a really fine line. But yeah, I do believe that Coach McDermott is a little bit stubborn in that regard. Like, he's not willing to give up on a player immediately. But as Dan said, that could be a blessing and a curse. So, we'll take the lumps when we have them. And maybe that includes Singletary a little bit. But at the same time, it's worth it for guys like maybe Isaiah Hodgins, who didn't even get a year under his belt yet, or someone like that who other coaches would give up on right away. See what he can do to help out the team.
I think that why they put such a big onus on continuity and familiarity is for the reason that's worked in the past. Like, just real quick, Stefan said, thoughts on taking a shot at Hakeem Butler at tight end. We'll get to that in 1 second. So here's my take on the continuity thing. Listen to this. You get judged in wins and losses in this league, and that's how you end up keeping your job. You get 2 cast-offs such as Hyde and Poyer and put them together. Now, Frazier and McDermott are the cornerback, defensive back whisperers. Like, that's where they made their money the most. So if you're thinking of it in that respect, they put these two guys together who were out of position. They put them in position. Now look at these guys, probably one of the best safety tandems in the NFL right now. Okay, they trade back and get the fourth corner off of the board in Trey White, and this guy was a runner-up for. I mean, he was in the running for Defensive Player of the Year last year. So they were, coaching guys as far as that goes. You got Matt Milano, who's a 5th-round pick. Now, true, Whaley's staff did do the homework in his scouting department for the linebackers for that draft, so we have to mention that. McDermott was only there for like 2-3 months at that point. So you got that. Then you take a look at some other players that they have on the offensive side. Who do? They bring in OG Bobby Johnson. What does he say? Give me Feliciano. They take Feliciano. They have Daryl Dawkins. I know Paul Berger's going to torch me in the chat, but they draft Deion Dawkins. I'm sorry, and they think he's their franchise player. Ike Butker plays as well as he does. He's a practice squad guy. Right. He's coming in. You get Darrell Williams, who had an injury and a bad season because they were moving him around. He comes in. He owns T.J. Watt for an entire game. That's what made him his money. So I think they're able to coach up some of these players well enough that gives them that mentality because they've done it in the past. Now, I don't know if that's the driving force to say, listen, this is what we want to do. This is why look at this guy I brought in. It's amazing. That's great. You can do that. But wouldn't it be nice to bring in like horses that you don't have to coach? If you look at Allen, let me just say, if you look at Allen and Edmonds, Allen, who threw for 50% in college, completely green, completely raw. You look at Edmonds, he was an outside guy at Virginia Tech, not an inside guy. They're like, listen, just give me the raw tools. I can work with it. You look at Edmonds and you look at Allen now after year 3, I think they did their job. If you give them the raw materials, the coaching staff believes that they can do this stuff. So, I mean, if you guys want to do a take on that, then we'll get to Stefan's question. Did you guys want to go on that?
We can. I mean, I'm okay with having Stefan. I agree with you. So,
So the thoughts on Stefan, he says thoughts on taking Hakeem Butler at tight end, that's the tight end for the Eagles, I believe, right? If I'm not mistaken, Stefan, is that what you're saying? Is that what you're asking about?
Hakeem Butler?
Yeah. I believe that was that's the current. He's the 2019 draft pick for the.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, that's that's definitely not been the Eagles tight end that's been trending for the past 24 hours. So I mean, that's sort of a curveball. It is a little bit of a curve.
24 years old. He's played in 2 games. If that's the guy he's talking about, I mean, I don't know if they'd give up on a draft pick that. Yeah, no, he was drafted out of Arizona. Oh, okay. That's weird. I don't know. If that's the guy you're talking about, Stefan, yeah, he's a free agent. Okay. He's 6'5", 2.25. I don't know much about him, Stefan, but would he fill that mold of a Croft or a Knox? Oh, the 6'6" wide. Okay. He was drafted by Arizona as a wideout and then moved to tight end. So that's who he's talking about. Hakeem Butler that went out. Yeah. He was drafted in the same draft as Andy Isabella. I mean, what's it with can we talk about Arizona taking all these wideouts, by the way? Signing A.J. Green to a 1-year deal for $8 million?
And you know what? I fucking hope that they still go 7-9.
Is this 2015? Like, you got Hopkins, Fitzgerald, and Green there. Like, what's going on? What am I missing? Did you hit your camera off, Joe?
No. No. I'll just say no. Let's say no.
Oh
no, yeah. I got a text from somebody.
Okay.
Why can't I see this guy's stats? I'm trying to pull him up to see if he's even worth it.
Tyree Jackson is also a tight end in Philly. Wow, they just like those projects over there. He's a former big-time bust wide receiver. Yeah, I definitely know who you're talking about because that's why the name popped up for me. Listen, I think that the signing of Sanders doesn't erase Knox, but it pushes him down how many options you have on that play. I just think it does. I just think it pushes him down a little bit. I could be wrong, but that's just my thought.
So since #sports, one of their taglines is trending now and trending later.
Oh boy.
I feel like we need to talk about Zac Ertz. I mean, come on. I mean, that's been controlling Bill's Twitter for the past hour. Well, day. We got to talk about it. don't we?
Well, I'll talk
about
it.
That I agree with it. I'm just saying that we should talk about it, right?
Well, first I do want to bring up, it's funny that Saman brought up a tight end. I was thinking about a tight end very similar, and Dan Arnold is the guy that I have circled from Arizona. So 6'5". So I think Stefan and I are on the same page there as far as a bigger tight end. But yeah, as far as Zac Ertz, if Bills Mafia wants to get their hopes up, because I still think Zac Ertz is an unbelievable tight end. I think whoever in Bills Mafia or wherever else says, oh, I don't want him, you're kind of crazy. Obviously, it depends what we trade for him. But at this point, I trust Brandon Beane when it comes to trading for weapons for Josh Allen. I don't know why. I feel like he has a decent track record. Something about a wide receiver last year. I don't know.
And over Ford and a fifth for Ertz.
Yeah. Well, we don't have a fourth this year, though. So when it comes to – if you're talking about trading a fourth, it would have to be 2022. If you're talking about future capital, then you have to add more to juice up the pot. And I'm not a fan of giving up future draft capital to get players. But obviously we did that with Stephon Diggs. And again, it worked out okay. Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I think if Bills Mafia wants to get their hopes up, they can. It would be a surprise to me
Cody
still.
Ford over. And so I said send Cody Ford over.
Oh, Cody Ford over, not a fourth. Gotcha. Cody Ford.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now listen, there's it's definitely split in half, and it was pretty funny too because some verified Bills personality tweeted something out, I believe earlier this morning, saying guys, don't think that he's going to be like a Kelsey or he's going to be like a that, which is true. He's not. He's going to be the type of guy that's going to catch the ball and take a tackle and fall down. And my initial thought was, you had me at catch the ball, baby. You had me at catch the fucking ball. You're not telling me anything I don't want to hear. Okay, let's go. No, honestly, when I look at Ertz, I wouldn't be upset at all. And like you said, if people say that they don't want him, then they're fucking insane. He's younger than Kelsey. He's remained pretty healthy too. He's played, I'd say, over 85, 90% of every game his entire career. So what else do you want? Right?
Yeah, well, we have a fight going on in the chat pretty much about Ertz and Rudolph. Here's the thing that I have that gives me is it just to camouflage Knox, or what is essentially the difference? Because I want it explained to me from the chat or you guys. Explain to me, and I'm not being a wise ass here either. That's not my goal here. My goal is I want it explained to me because I don't see it. What is the difference of having Ertz, Rudolph versus having Croft? What's the huge difference we have? Because to me, if you get those two guys, you're just replacing Croft, which is, it's Croft. It's Ertz. It's Rudolph. Is it really that big of a deal?
And so I'd say health is probably the biggest thing.
Health? Okay.
Ertz and Croft. Availability is number one. I think that Ertz has a higher ceiling. We've seen how he can play once he was the exclusive tight end. He was the true tight end number one. That was before they ended up bringing in that Dallas guy a couple of years ago, and before the Eagles just completely crumbled as an organization. Offensive line couldn't give their quarterback time to even, make it through his first or second progression. So I think the ceiling's just higher for Ertz. I think that he's a better player than Croft. He stays healthy. I think he's better than Knox too. Maybe he's not the best blocker, but shit. Let's just look at our weapons right now. Let's just look at Sanders, Diggs, Beasley, Gabe Davis. Who knows? Maybe Hodgins is going to make the team this year. Who knows? You throw Ertz in there? Come on. It's insane.
I'm getting torn up because he's the dude. Put some respect on Ertz's name. Ertz is better than all of them.
I don't think Mario's disrespecting Ertz here. And first of all, the idea that Mario's not being a smartass, I'm still trying to comprehend that because I feel like that's Mario's normal ML. But But the question isn't necessarily about talent level when it comes to Mario's question. I don't think. I think it's about scheme, right? How often does this Buffalo Bills team utilize the tight ends overall? So is Zac Ertz a better tight end than Tyler Kroft? absolutely. Is Mario a bigger guy than Paul, right? Like, absolutely. It's just what it is. It's just the truth. But like, do the Buffalo Bills use tight ends a lot? And then you have to ask the question, would they use tight ends more if their tight end can catch the ball consistently? Or if they had, and I'm just thinking out loud here, if they had a veteran tight end who was reliable, both as availability and as a pass catching tight end. Is the lack of using a tight end in their system due to the fact that they don't have anyone reliable in that position? Or at least Josh Allen might not have that relationship with someone. Maybe you bring in a tight end and Josh Allen feels comfortable with, and he uses him more as a target. We talk about, Dan, you talk about weapons, and weapons are awesome, but remember, there's still only one ball to go around. So, but I mean, it does add a different element to this team. I'm not saying it doesn't. But again, if we get Zac Ertz, it would still be a surprise to me. And I'm still trying, and it depends on what we give up, if that's a good or bad surprise.
Okay, so just kind of going through it a little bit. Ertz played 11 games last year. Prior to that, he was a 3-time Pro Bowler. He caught 116 passes in 2018. He is currently, just for everybody's, he's currently 30 years old. Kyle Rudolph, prior to last year, played 5 straight seasons of all 16 games.
Yeah.
I think he caught he caught 28 passes last year. Him being reunited with Diggs, I don't know if Diggs would be the galvanizing force for that to kind of vouch for him in that respect.
Right.
But to me, I think you guys hit the nail on the head as far as does Dable even use the tight ends? Right. Does he really use the tight ends? And it was, who brought it up? Buffalo Mafia Sports Talk. Thanks for coming in. You need a vet TV. Yeah, we need television. You need a vet tight end in the room. I think they're still hoping for Knox to develop into a quality tight end. Well, the best way to have your tight end develop how you want it to develop is take the training wheels off. He had Croft there for him. That was there. He had Lee Smith, who's 175 years old. Only Brandon Bean can trade a guy that's about to retire. I swear to God, for a 7th-round pick. It's beautiful. But the point is, I don't think getting Ertz, he has to be used properly. I don't see him getting used properly. That's the thing with me. Brian Dable, we like to say, he was the tight ends coach in New England. Yeah, he was, for Rob Gronkowski, who didn't need any coaching. Did he really need any coaching?
That's like saying Bruce Arians was the quarterback coach in Indianapolis. Good for him.
He helped develop some great QB. But the point of it was, I just don't see him being utilized. Right. Now, if something happened to Kelsey and Ertz got signed by Kansas City, or Ertz, Kittle goes down and Ertz goes to San Francisco, okay, they focus on that tight end. Now, I don't know if it's because of the athleticism of the tight end. Kelsey's a different beast. So is Kittle. Those two guys are in an echelon of their own. They're up there. So maybe that's not why. But you just signed Sanders. Now, if you go to a 4-wide look with a running back in the backfield, you got Sanders, Beasley, Diggs, and Davis. What do you need a tight end for?
Right.
Really? What do you need one for? I don't know. Help with the run game? I'd rather have those 4 guys run routes. I'd honestly have 4 those and keep Singletary or Moss in the backfield, who have been very, very good in pass pro, and you got 6 protecting. I'm good with that. With that. Let Allen find an open guy. All right. What's up,
I love you guys. I got to go. Dad duties. You know how it is. So
I do.
So I will have to get out of here if that's all right with you, Mario.
Yeah, I think I think we're gonna take off and totally slap hashtag Nation in the face though. But Joe, tell the fans where they can find you. That's what I want to know.
Well, first of all, everyone subscribe to Believers Talk. Not only do we talk Buffalo Bills, we talk about Ralph Kruger being fired, which has been the greatest news all day.
Yes.
My gosh. I mean, and it's funny. I follow a young lady by the name of Melly Martin who does great Sabres content, and she's like, is it too late? And it might be, but at some point need to change. And so I'm happy that happened. So we did do a video on that. So, but subscribe to Believers Talk, giving you breaking news. Obviously, free agency's going crazy, and we'll continue to keep you up to date there. Find me on Twitter, Facebook, all that jazz, and find me over here at hashtag. I always enjoy doing these collabs with you guys, so I'll be sure to be joining you guys again and again. So thank you guys very much, and to Bills Mafia, we love you. Thanks a lot.
All right, Dan, what do you got, buddy, for the hashtag Nation?
What do I got for hashtag nation?
Where can they find the Don Mafia report?
Find me, bro. Okay, you can find me legitimately everywhere at Real Dan Mitchell. RealDanMitchell. That's me on all my socials. And then just Dan Mitchell on YouTube. A lot of you have been like wanting draft content. I refuse to do draft content until free agency is over. So you are finally getting your wish. So be on the lookout for top 5 running backs, top 5 cornerbacks, etc. That shit's coming out. Mock drafts. Have some fun. Say that you just want to talk shit to me. The best way to do that's on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram. I've been starting to do some pretty cringy TikToks too. They're actually pretty funny. So I would recommend checking those out too. They're NFL related. So do it up at Real Dan Mitchell as well.
Yeah, we just started. Paul's actually been doing them for a little bit. The hashtag shorts. So make sure you guys check those out. Those are 60 seconds. We also have those on TikTok as well. We have a link tree that we're going to be sending out, and there's going to be a new look for hashtag come next week, guys. So be sure that you're all set for that, because it's going to be a little bit crazy. Basically, it's still going to be me and Paul, but it's going to be a little bit of a new look. So make sure you guys are on the lookout for that. After you hit that subscribe button, if you want to join the be one of the hashtag heroes and join, be one of the members, you can do that. We are on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Tim Hortons, Denny's. We're everywhere. So just let us know whatever you guys want. Thank you for joining the stream. I like taking my hat off to these two fine gentlemen donating their time to hashtag Nation today. But I could see Dan is itching for a beverage that is not a 7-gallon water jug, and Joe's got to go do daddy duty. So
Dan's getting a beer. I'm gonna need a beer. So.
Hashtag